Okay, got on my order. I just got to put 50 card in the coupon code. 50 card. What? What? It expired? God. Fine, I'll pay full price for it. Jeez. Whoa, hey. What's going on there, card fighters? Yeah, just ordering my cards. Got to make sure my Overlord deck is tip top shape. Now, I hope you guys connected with all the people that you wanted in the last one that we just did. But maybe you're thinking, how do I sell? How do I become a vendor in this game? Well, let me introduce you to the next panel. These are some of the people that are really good at selling, are really good at knowing the market price of this game. So let's go ahead and jump into that conversation, right? You might learn a thing or two, and you might be the next person I buy my Overlord from.
Alright, so welcome everybody to Cardfight Con. Here we have the Sellers and Vendors panel. With me, we're going to have everybody do a round of introductions, but we've got 50 cards, we've got Richard from Golden Phoenix Games, we've got Dom, we've got Will of Proicon Gaming, and we've got Rico from Team Gradelock. Would you like to possibly go around in a round starting with 50 cards, kind of like introduce yourselves, where people can find you, where people can support you?
My name is Jacob Bond, owner of 50 Cards. Also, I do YouTube and a bunch of other stuff. You guys can find me at 50cards.shop. Sell splits, boxes, cases, etc. The whole 9 yards. Also, you can find me on YouTube, 50 Cards, and Twitter, same thing. And yeah.
Richard, now by yourself.
Hi, I'm Richard, owner of Golden Phoenix Games. I post a lot on Facebook, so if you see a crazy person with good prices, that's me. My TCG player is Golden Phoenix Games. I have a website, goldenphoenixgames.com, just everything Golden Phoenix Games.
How about yourself, Dom?
I'm Dominic Manalo. I've been on. I've only do primarily Vanguardians sales and trades. Done it since like 2016, so it's been a while. I personally don't have like a storefront myself, but I do have TCG player. It's called Thunder Games. Okay, I'm working on the name. I'll change it eventually. But that's primarily where I sell. I normally sell singles, play sets on Facebook, but that's it.
Okay, how about yourself, Will?
Hey guys, I'm Will. I'm the owner of Procyon Gaming. You can find me on Etsy, which is procyongaming.com. I mostly sell the custom Vanguard dice, so if you go to tournaments when you see the cool dice with 5,000, 10,000, I'm the one that makes those. Again, you can find that on procyongaming.com, and I plan on selling custom mats and some other accessories down the road.
For obviously for people who are also interested, we are also partnered with Procyon Gaming for the Cardfight Con playmats, which you guys can buy when the prices get revealed. Also, the limited supply, guys, and they're fucking sick, so you guys should probably buy it.
Super excited for it.
Hey man,
Can't wait.
hey, listen man, you gotta plug Cardfight Con when I can, even in Cardfight Con. It's the self plug, man. You gotta do it. How about yourself, Rico?
Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Henry Rico from Team Gradelock. I am that annoying guy who claims to know the market when he really doesn't, and he just tell you guys what to invest in and what to not invest in. I have my own TCG store called Above Them All Games, for short, ATA Games. I've been reselling for years. First did Yu-Gi-Oh!, then Cardfight Vanguard. Cardfight Vanguard is my main income at the moment. I'm also reselling every other card game known to man, possibly Digimon, I don't know. But if you guys want to, check out our channel, Team Gradelock, and yeah.
Okay, so I was gonna say, so I know a lot of people are probably kind of interested in how you guys, because obviously as the reasons for why people get into selling and getting into sales in general, I think it's quite a fair thing to say. Like, everyone's response is, for the same reason to start a business, it's always to make a profit, because it's a business, as you do. But also, what actually got you to be it if this is your first career path, or like something you possibly switched into kind of later on in life, like what made you actually want to make the transition to specifically selling or vending cards as opposed to any other possible career? I think probably best thing like yourself, for example, like 50 cards, because you started. Obviously, you're. I think you're by far kind of the youngest of us all. So like, what makes a guy sit in high school, and just be like, you know what I'm gonna do? Family wants me to go to college, but I'm gonna do this.
Yeah. So actually, when the game just came out, I was like, I want to say 10 years old, and for some reason, I had this thing where I always wanted to sell my cards when I was a kid. I barely had any cards, any money, the whole thing. Basically, I got into the Vanguard right at the start and all of that. Really didn't have the platform to sell anything at that point. And then I got into what is it called? So I stopped playing the game probably, I want to say at Legion. And then I got back to it back in like late G, and then I realized, oh, now I have a decent job, a little bit of money, this whole thing. I've always wanted to do this, so I went and saved up. I think it was $1,000, I want to say, and then I bought a case and all that. Made a good amount of money off of it, and yeah, it just started from there, and now I'm here with doing a lot better than. Let's just say that. Just a little bit.
It's just such an interesting thing, I think, to like how people like necessarily fall into that, because I don't know about you guys. I don't know many kids who are like at the playground. Kids like, I want to be a firefighter, I want to be an astronaut, and he just turns around, he's like his leather chair, like, I want to sell cards. I want them stonks, you know. I want them infinite rising stonks. But like, what about the rest of you guys? Because like I know somebody kind of like maybe chose this as something kind of later on in life. What made this more of like an appealing prospect? You know, to drop whatever it is you were doing and be like, yeah, I'm going to open a storefront, given how volatile and risky like the business model is for selling cards, because you're very much so dependent on, you know, you have to buy so far in advance. You know, if the set's garbage, if the meta's bad, like you kind of have to. It's something that risky. Like what drives somebody to try something that high risk? So like, what about because I know you guys kind of like approach this from like different avenues. Like for example, we've got Rico with Team Gradelock. Like obviously you guys have your own kind of like team you make content through. Some yourselves, like you said, you know, like Will said, some of you use Etsy, you know, some of you use, you know, TCG Player exclusively. Like what makes you choose those like different avenues, and like why would you lean towards that as opposed to, you know, why doesn't everybody have a YouTube channel and everybody has an Etsy and everybody has a TCG Player? Like what makes you go towards these like different avenues, Rico?
Honestly, it's mainly just connection and talking to other people. Me, I talk to, let's say, 19 to 20 different types of people. Some of them are overseas, some of them are local store owners. Most of the time, I talk to people overseas. They give me all the prices, all the breakdown, mainly because our prices over here are way much more cheaper over there. I usually ship it out. Honestly, I think they use me at this point because I never charge them shipping. But I talk with them all the time. They tell me how their pre-sales doing, and from there I go to the websites overseas all the time. And usually at this point, I mean, currently Vanguard right now pre-sales are really bad. I don't know if you guys noticed.
Yeah.
Boxes like BT10, BT11. BT11 was the worst thing I've ever seen ever. I'm hoping BT12 does pick up. I'm assuming at this point, again, I could be wrong. I could be an idiot just waving my hands in the air. But I think BT12 is going to be a great investment. So far, a lot of store owners that I spoke to did multiple pre-sale on cases. But as for that, I mean, the best thing to do is just talk to other people, talk to other store owners. You know, just spread yourself out there.
What about yourself? Because I saw you were trying to say something just before.
Me?
Yeah. Oh, it looked like you were about to say something.
Sorry. No, I don't want to step on anybody, but so leaning on to what he says, like he said, pre-sales are like really hard to come by, and you're right, 10 and 11 are really weren't the best ones, I'd have to say. Right out the gate, when Galaxy Cloud Kluger is more expensive than the VR, there's something wrong with that.
Listen, man, it's blind, man. It's blind.
Yeah. For me, I kind of started like the way 50 cards did, but it was more later, and also a typical Asian background. I wanted to play card games, and obviously my parents weren't going to give me money. They think it's a waste of time. They would actually throw away my cards. So one thing, my kind of life lesson, I should say, my parents would say, if you want to do something, you do it with your own money. You make your own money for it. So what I did was at my local shop, Vanguard just recently came out, and I was playing Yu-Gi-Oh! At the time. And it was really hard to play Yu-Gi-Oh! I believe it was during Drag Ruler format, and that was, I don't know if any of you remember that. tough format to play in. If you basically bought your deck to win. So Vanguard came out at BTO1. Thought it wasn't really like the game looked childish. It's a children's card game. I didn't really give it much thought, but I slowly realized like I could make profit off of it by winning sword credit. Use the sword credit, buy boxes, and flip the cards I don't need to build the decks I wanted. And from then on, that's just the business model that I've kind of gone with. Is literally just pick up cards at a small scale and just flip it. As for me, I think Rico, you do a lot of research, and time is like something that for all of us here, it's like really valuable. You can't reproduce that. For me, I'd have to say I spend like an average 3 hours just looking at meta of Japanese meta, because that's basically what we live and thrive off of. I mean, look at like what's going to happen now. We have with BT12 coming out, looks like Gold Paladin is about to sweep everybody on the rug right now. So hope you got your Wonder Hazels. But yeah, just going off what he said, it became a hobby first, and then it slowly turns into something that you didn't realize. And I can say for sure, a lot of people here, since we're all here, we just got really good at it. You know, flipping cards, selling it. The markets and platforms we use, like I've never used Etsy before. That's something I've never considered. You know, I would have to say I would stick with what I'm comfortable with. And with the time I had put forth. So Vanguardians is a great page, although it does get cluttered a bit. It does get a lot of people's noticing. It has almost worldwide, global. Rico, you deal with a lot of international. I don't really like to do a lot of international given the circumstances, but it's like one of the best platforms I could sell on, and then having a storefront too. So I actually help out my friend's booth. We have this, like, I guess you could say, like a deal. His booth is KCTCG. He also has a Facebook, but I help him generally sell, and then when he lets me whatever he doesn't have available, I sell for him. It's kind of like a give and take. So I don't have to own an actual business, like an actual storefront. I could just be kind of like a hired hand. If I don't make money, that's just how it is. If I make money, well, it's pretty good. Anyone have any other experiences kind of like building up to like how they are now? So
I was gonna say
I can speak a bit more about Etsy. That was weird.
no, I can hear you now. There we go.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I can speak a bit more about Etsy. For me, I was a bit hesitant to get into Etsy just because the fees, I'm not sure if you guys know about the fees, but the fees are really high. They're approximately 10 or so percent, depending on what you sell. For Etsy, it's super great if you have a custom product, such as custom dice, custom play mats. I wouldn't recommend it for selling singles or anything. But the reason why I picked Etsy over something like Shopify or some other e-commerce store is because of the free marketing, the free SEO. I really cannot beat that at all. When you join a marketplace, they basically market for you. They basically take all that work and just do it for you. And selling on Etsy has brought me significantly more traffic than it was when I was on Shopify a couple of years ago, during my first attempt at doing some kind of business. It's brought me significantly more traffic and sales for pretty much no extra work. They just take a deeper cut. Honestly, I mean, if you think about the amount of money that a lot of people spend on advertisements, marketing, SEO services, it's really, really worth it just to let them take that 10% cut or 12% cut or whatever. And that's why, at least for my dice and my mat soon, it's going to be Etsy for sure. For singles, I'm just going to continue on TCG Player. It's the best marketplace, right? Yeah. Everyone uses it. Everyone knows about it.
You can't argue with that.
Things, because I think it was actually quite interesting you brought up, because like I've heard people obviously use Vanguardians before. I've seen people make their own shop fronts. I've seen people on TCG Player, but like Etsy is like the kind of like out of left field. Like never heard that before. Like wow, like it's actually kind of thinking quite a bit outside the box. But like, because for example, like Richard, about yourself, because I know obviously you have a bit more of you have the physical store as well. So it also makes,
Right.
and that, especially now that you have the physical store, like, how is that necessarily, like, has it changed the way the way you trade online? Like, has it changed the way you look at selling and vending cards?
I used to do a lot of Facebook before, all on Vanguardians typically. But with the storefront, we get people coming to us for other games now. So that just adds a whole other layer of inventory and keeping track of it that TCG Player gives me for free.
Yeah.
TCG Player also lets us use like their kiosk thing, so they can just come to the store and check out with there.
Oh, okay.
They don't need Facebook anymore or anything like that, and it takes it right out of our inventory like that.
That's got to be quite a bit more different though, because I think it's kind of interesting how like almost every single person here has like a completely different like approach to selling, even like what you guys do, how you do it, like the way you come about it is kind of quite a bit different from when we see 50 Cards who primarily like opens his cards on stream and sells them. Now that he has his own shop front, digitally we got Richard with like kind of the brick and mortar store. We've got Will with like his own like Etsy custom business. We've got we've got Dom again with the with the digital storefront, and then we've got Rico as well. But I was going to say as well, because you guys were talking about kind of TCG Player earlier. When I was like kind of comparing differences, I noticed, because obviously where I'm from the UK, or I live in the UK, so I use kind of the European side of things. Like obviously we use Card Market, and obviously because as I was watching kind of Team Gradelock's content on for example like buyouts and the like, when I was looking at like what cards should I keep in mind, I noticed that the European side of things actually doesn't allow buyouts. You aren't physically able to buy more than 8 copies of a card from 2 different distributors, I believe. Which seems as though like the marketplace is kind of taking steps to stop kind of artificial inflation of card prices, or just stopping buyouts really. Like I was going to say, like obviously because we're making it more expensive for people to come in, but I was going to say, what do you think is potentially? I need to make sure I word this correctly, but like, what do you think is kind of the impact or the role necessarily of sellers and vendors? Obviously, be it Will with the kind of the more like accessories for the game, or singles on TCG, or the rest of with the actual cards themselves, of making the game accessible for new players, because of course the new players base wants the cheapest product, because you don't want to spend max amount to get into a hobby, but at the same time the business have to make their money. Like, what do you think is a seller or vendor's role in making the game accessible beyond because the company has its MSRP, cool, but if you're a brand new player and what deck, your friend told you about how cool maybe MLB is a bad example, how cool like Luard is, right? You're not going to buy 15 boxes of Phantom Dragon Aeon being like, well, hope I pull playsets, boys. Like, like what do you think is your role in that? Or do you think you actually have a role in that? Maybe you think you don't. Like, what do you think is your role in making the game accessible to new players?
Well, I'll start. Well, before TCG Player, I was using eBay, which I'm pretty sure a lot of us at one point did use eBay. On eBay, I was actually making custom decks. I was making custom decks during G format, where I would put strides, a couple hollow grade 3s, a lot of stuff, and they would actually sell. For example, I would sell a custom Bermuda Triangle deck for, let's say, $20, $25, and a lot of the times there are always new players who want who message me asking how does this deck run, all that stuff, and I'll break it down to them. Nowadays, it's a little bit difficult to sell custom decks on eBay because just the fact that eBay, I mean, almost every platform nowadays, everyone is trying to sell custom decks, or everyone's trying to sell their decks for a cheaper price. But the one thing that the sellers could do to help out new players, I guess, is we try to like make a mystery box or mystery pack and sell them to new players for a decent price. Unfortunately, nowadays, of course, with the whole pandemic, all we can do for newer players is either give them a decent price, a decent deal. For example, me, for any new buyers that come to me to my store who ask me personally, I would always give them at least a 20% discount on their whole order. Afterwards, then just regular price.
Okay. How about yourself, Richard? Like, what do you think? Because especially as now that you kind of have the physical store and you see people, or I suppose less so during the pandemic, but like, because I don't know how strong you guys' lockdown is, but like in terms of...
No, we still get people.
Yeah, so I can tell people coming into the shop. Do you think you potentially maybe see it from different angles, as somebody who like has people physically come in and presumably has physically new players coming in. Like, do you think maybe your position of like what your role is shifted in that sense?
In terms of product offering, yeah. Most new players don't want to buy. Well, they shouldn't expect to buy a box and get everything they need, right? So I try to get new players to buy playsets when a clan comes out, because usually, like, you get a Deep Police playset from Silver Dust, you'll get what you need usually, right? So from new sets, I always tell them, pick up the playset. Most of the stuff in that playset is going to be used for the deck that comes out for it, especially with like Shadow Paladin and Ward. It's all right there. Just a couple pieces you're missing.
But like, in terms of how do you guys balance like having, obviously trying to maximize the profit for yourselves while keeping the game affordable for the new player? Like, do you think that there is a balance to be kept? Like, how do you go about keeping that sort of balance? Because it is probably it's super like, it's a little flimsy there. It could go either way.
For a TCG player, I'll just list it at whatever's lowest. But for customers who are actually coming into the store, I'll give them a special deal depending on the card. I'm trying to think of a good example recently. Like, someone came in the store last week wanting to buy For the End from the Charo Expo. And I gave him like a $5 discount on each because he's a Kagura player who comes to the store. I can live with the $5, and it completes the sale either way, so I'm happy with that.
I guess it also leaves like a positive impact where it's like, oh yeah, no, like, the guy hooked me up, like, like it gives a good publicity, I suppose, at least in that front even. But like, what about yourself, Don? Because it looked like you were about to say something there.
Me again?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, no, I was going to say, it looked like you were about to say something, so I was going to point it to you, just let you have time.
No, I mean, I'm just like trying to stay engaged with the people's conversation. I do agree with what Richard says. So, like I said, I don't own a store. I just basically help out on my spare time. Playsets have always been the go-to for a lot of people because obviously buying boxes is literally like a hit or miss, especially if you're trying to get in the game. As for new players, it's really hard to be fair to them because it just depends on like what is their intention. I always ask, what's the intention? You want to play it? Do you want to come out strong out the gate? You want to play like with the big boys, or do you want just a casual deck to play with? Because with Vanguard, right now, I'd have to say it's not so cookie cutter. With set 11, I'd have to say I'm having a lot of fun playing Maelstrom, Galaxy, Blau, Kluger. Those are two decks that are not killing. I would have to say kill the pocket. They're like relatively cheap. You only need like 1 or 2 cards, and with these new sets, like for example, set 11 has been a set where everything is you build the deck out of the box, and you don't really need a lot of old cards like PGs, but we have Festival, as well as Bergios was a reprint. So a lot of everything is already kind of like given to you already. But that my thing is when players come up to me and they want to start to play the new game, I ask them, what is your intention? You want to have fun or you want to play a game? If I give them a deck I feel that is fun to them and that they would enjoy, I think I've already completed what I had to do as a seller and a vendor at the same time. I made a sale. It wasn't the biggest sale I made, but at the same time, I enjoy the fact that people are having fun playing the game because I want to, I guess you could say, share that feeling I did when I first started it. I mean, I don't know how everyone started playing Vanguard, but when I first started, it was after I quit Yu-Gi-Oh! Basically, and it was just really fun, just really enjoying really different play, and the idea of you could play the deck straight out of a TD, and you don't have to be the best player to do it. You could just basically play with what's available to you. So that's what I would have to say in terms of trying to find that middle ground. It's really difficult, but I always try to make it appealing, so that way it's not like they're losing out on selling, basically.
What about you guys, 50 Gallon Thresh? How do you guys feel? Yeah, Thrash 50. Like, do you guys have any?
Oh, sorry.
Have any thoughts? Sorry. Yeah. I want to make sure I'm like maybe my internet glitched. Yeah, I can hear.
Yep. Okay, yeah. For me, with the dice, it was all about removing a layer of complexity. I originally created this dice for myself and for my team. The prototypes, and those prototypes ended up being really successful, so I started to mass producing them. And what the dice does is just, it removes, especially for new players where they're trying to learn a game, they're trying to get into it. By removing that layer of complexity, they can really engage in the game a bit more, rather than having to worry about fiddling with stuff on the board, right? So by removing all this stuff, it lets them better focus on learning a game, just having fun. That was originally my inspiration for creating this dice.
Okay, because I know it's like, I guess the alternative people have is either, because I think it's an interesting discussion to be had, because I know we had Kenny Seiji making a video about it a while back, kind of about like, well, his one was playmats. But one of the arguments being made was basically that like your deck box, your dice, your playmats, like it's a way of kind of expressing yourself as a person, or even your sleeves for that matter. Like kind of all your like apparel and accessories are a way of expressing you as an individual, like your personality. Besides the way you play your decks or the decks you play. So I think it's actually quite interesting to have kind of like almost have like a custom one-stop shop. So people don't have to go, oh yeah, no, I have this package coming from here, this one from there, these two from this place. It's like, no, I can just go to this one guy. He gets everything for me. I can put whatever I want on it. Obviously, it's like, it's kind of that approach. Like you said, I guess it simplifies it a lot more, which
Right.
I guess would fill your kind of role in terms of like accessibility. But like, what about yourself, 50? Like, do you think you potentially have? Because I know you say you kind of got into a lot. You got into Vanguard when you were a lot younger. Because like I know I think you and I got into Vanguard about the same age. Because I think I started watching when I was like 11 or something. So it's like when it came out, it was like, how did you find yourself getting into it? Like, how did you, or do you think, as somebody for whom that's like a fairly recent memory still, like, do you think potentially, like, yeah, like.
Yeah, so I got into it because of my friend. Me and my friend always played Yu-Gi-Oh together, actually. And then we started fading away from that, and then he found Vanguard. And then, he showed me the show and all this other stuff. I got into it through that way. We went to a few locals, lost every match. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I probably played about 2 years originally, and then I quit, and then now I'm really into it. But yeah, I mean, I feel like that's one of the best ways to get into it is really the show. Like, and then again, I had my friend to get me into it and all of that. But yeah.
But like, I was gonna say, because like speaking of, because you guys were talking about kind of like, the decks you were, like you were saying, you'd offer somebody like starter decks or kind of a powerful decks. But I guess when you talk about decks and meta and upcoming decks, inevitably you're gonna end up talking about promos. And when it comes to promos, what's your guys' position on those? Because I know some people think, they should be, kind of like non-intrusive, like for fun cards. If they are, important for the game, possibly have them as box stoppers, or, because I know there was a lot of crap handed out, especially in Europe, because I don't know if you guys know, but even though a TCG player can sell everything, in Europe on card market, you can't actually sell promos. You can sell the congratulations shop challenge promos, great. But if you want to buy a twin order, your boy gonna have to go on Facebook. You're gonna have to go on Facebook, or you're gonna have to go on TCG Player. Card market doesn't list promos. Like, what do you think? What do you guys think about, like, kind of in terms of be it the scarcity, the pure value, and the fact that we had to have them occupy an entire slot in a product like Client Selection, where a lot of people would argue we should have had this a year ago. Like, how do you guys think you should necessarily approach it, or what do you guys think about, like, because especially I suppose for shops it's a high value card most of the time. Like, if your shop just has like a stack of twin orders foil just sitting there, you're like, mate, that's money waiting to happen. But like, what do you guys think should, like, is the approach to promos from from a shop perspective? Like, does it help drive sales? Does it depend on how good the promo is, or do some promos shift on the basis of just being promos?
So me personally, I feel like these promos, these promos are way too good to not be in the set. But I do understand the promos are an incentive for people to go to the shop, to enter tournaments, to buy product, all that stuff. Me personally, like I said, I think these promos should be in a set, maybe as like a higher rarity card that you can possibly pull from a case or possibly not pull from a case. that would definitely drive the sales for people to buy more boxes, and hopefully cases can retain their value instead of go below retail. As for stores with promos, and of course, not to disrespect any store owners out there, but store owners, they could backdoor their promos, which unfortunately I caught my own local TCG store do that one time. One of their employees sold me 2 full pages of these Murakumo Grade 1 promos back in G format.
Oh, is it the Grade 1?
Yeah, it has like a purple background.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I caught the store owner selling me 2 pages of them, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, why does he have 2 pages of these promos? Why didn't he just give them out to the people? Unfortunately, that did spread around, and it did get the store in trouble. But ever since I saw that happen, in my mind nowadays, I'm just thinking, I'm pretty sure most local TC store owners are just backdoor selling them. Hopefully, eventually, Bushiroad can start putting these promos within the sets, because honestly, these promos, they're way too good not to be in the sets. Like, most of these promos, you actually need them to play the deck. For example, Great Angels, we have a promo which makes no sense why it's not in the set. But I mean, like I said, it's just my opinion. I'm not trying to say all TC store owners are bad, but no, it's the real life. Bad things. I mean, these type of things could happen. As for the promos getting reprinted, that was a great idea from Bushiroad. I'm very thankful that Bushiroad did that took that step into putting reprints of promos that we should have gotten easier into clan selection 1 and 2.
No, I feel like I know one of my friends is a Mega Colony main, and he's been complaining. It's not Machine Mantis. It's the Grade 1. It's like
Millipede.
That's the one. Yeah, he's been a little salty. He's been a little salty that it's a promo, because I think how much does it cost now? It's like $50 or something. It's some like insane amount for a promo.
It was a $60 card, and then people realized, like, let's be realistic here. $30, I guess. But
Man, it's like when I came into Vanguard, because I used to play since I started watching the show when it came out, and I played through to like when Link Joker first got introduced, and then I moved to the UK. I kind of had nobody to play with. I fell off. Came back with Zero's release, because I missed all of GR. I tried watching V, and I'm like, these rear guards don't shut the hell up. I can't watch this. So I was like, I'm like, cool. I'm playing it now. I was like, okay, nice. Gear Chronicles are kind of cool. Looks at Gear Chronicles. I'm like, oh, next stage is coming up. Yo, I should probably get ready for next stage. Looks at Aircub and taking Chronotooth to guard, $20 each. I'm like, ooh. I don't know about this one, Chief. Ooh, I don't know.
Yeah. And
it's like I remember I was talking to somebody and they were just telling me like, oh man, that's like a $2 card tops. And I was like, yeah, but it's 20. And they're like, here's what it is. Look, do you guys feel potentially there's like a barrier to the price of entry in terms of like the secondhand market enables there to be a much higher price to entry than there otherwise would be?
Yeah.
I guess that's like to bounce off the promos, because I think they kind of sort of go hand in hand, because if your deck is hella cheap but then your promo is $50 each, is your deck really cheap?
No, I'd have to say the biggest problem I have with promos right now, recently, is that they're way too expensive. Twin Order, Diaconnect, all those. When Bushiroad was gonna give like a thank you for playing the game and was gonna hand them out during a pandemic, I was like, oh, that's a great idea. Everybody can play Alt Mile or utilize like D-Robos. I thought it was a really great idea. Just because everybody's like pretty stagnant from just being in the rooms, not being able to play a card game, and I think it was really great that they were doing it. But I wasn't when they first got released. I have to say, agree with Rico. A lot of stores are doing backroom deals. I mean, I get it. You need to make money, but let's be real here. They're promos. They're supposed to be like held out at events. And I'd have to say, like, I also agree with Rico with a lot of things. Is with those promos, those most recent promos, they're way too good. And I wish we had them way before. Like I started when like. I'm sure 50 and as well as you, Echo, you guys started in the beginning, and the promos that we got from the shop, did you really use it?
No.
Yeah, they were utter trash. I mean, you could argue it, but like, why? Why would you do that? Go ahead.
Early.
No, sorry,
No, go.
Oh, 1 second. Let's give Noah a second to come back. I think he just fell off. Oh, there we go.
Oh, what happened?
No worries. I think you just reminded me. Got disconnected there for a second. Oh,
Okay.
I was gonna say if you can put your webcam, I think it's rearranged. There we go. No, I was gonna say. I was gonna say. Like, I think in the beginning, like promo cards were promo cards. So it was like hey, cool. It was basically the equivalent of like an I was here sticker. Like it was oh cool, yeah, I went to that event, I won that shop challenge, cool. It's a price card. I keep it in my binder and I just let people know it exists. Like I don't need to like actively play it, because then when you actively play it, some people win those and don't sleeve them. They get wear and tear. They're a very limited supply. Those get removed. If there's too much wear and tear, you can't play them anymore. So like supply is only ever going to go down, and it's going to go down hard, because not everybody who owns them is going to sell them, and not everyone's going to sell them. Not everyone's going to have them in good condition. So you like eventually end up in an inevitable situation where if a card is good, it's going to be worth hella money. Like there's just going to be no contest. It's going to cost a hell of a lot of money. There's just no real way around it, unfortunately, until they start reprinting cards, even if they put them as box toppers. But even then, there's going to be like that base of you could always just buy a box, which I think will somewhat keep them in check, compared to like something like the Thank You Set Fest, which could have also become the FU Fest, because it's like oh you wanna play our new decks? Oh, buy $50 a product, bro. $50 a product, 1 in 8, baby. Come on, let's go. And decide to go like, okay, I guess I gotta roll that dice. Like, if you only need one of those promos, you spending like there's almost no way out of it, unfortunately. But like, how about yourself, Rich? Like, do you find yourself maybe having people come into store physically, who like maybe asked about promos? Because I know some shops like it a bit more weird about it. Because I know like my local shop doesn't even touch Vanguard Vanguard singles. They're like, nah, bro, too volatile. We don't get in this.
Oh yeah, we get people all the time asking for promos. Because of the whole pandemic thing, we can't really run events. So I end up just giving them away. For the Thank You Fest, we did it as buy a box promo, like a lot of people.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, because it came out with the premium collection set and the reprint set.
Yeah, Festival collection, I think
it was Festival. Yeah. So that's what we ended up doing with ours. Yeah, it made us money because you get a box and a chance at a $40 twin order foil or something like that.
Yeah.
But I think there's got to be a better solution. It's the most expensive card you need in like deep release decks. You need at least like 2 or 3 of it, right?
Yeah, there's such a marked
so
difference
maybe they
between
could
a deck that doesn't. Sorry.
I was gonna say maybe they can do something like an alt art card, something that you don't need to play in the deck, but would be cool if you had it, type of thing.
Because I don't know about you guys, I feel like looking at the VMC rewards they've got now, dude, what I wouldn't give for that Chronojet Dragon alt art, bro. Like if promos were just like alternate arts, just going, hey, this card looks kind of cool. Like I went there. Because I feel like it's kind of, it's not the best that like shipping product is left to like the shop's own ingenuity. It's like how can I move this, and then it's kind of like up to you instead of having the collaboration from the shop, because from the I was gonna say game developer, but like from the publisher, because in a sense they're thanking their clientele, or they're thanking their player base for partaking, but then then you suddenly have to start shipping more and more products. So it's almost like a thank you, but we'll thank you after you buy our stuff. But like, it's kind of speaking of stuff like that. Like, I'm trying to all like the stutters I'll probably end up trimming out. Just FYI, like off the record, I'll probably trim like some of the stutters out. But like, do you think there's potentially like, because I know for a lot of the player base, it's kind of like, it's magic that goes on in the background. My dealer just like, or my seller just has his stuff when I need it, and I go there and pick it up. Like, if you guys wouldn't mind, if you guys do mind, I completely respect. I can cut out the entire bit. But like, in terms of like the behind the scenes, or like how far in advance do people actually have to order things? Like, how does because you see, you might be watching like a 50 card unpack video, and he has this like little packet full of like promo packs, and you're going like, wait, whoa, how'd you get that? Like a bunch of players might be sitting at home going like, they almost feel like because they have no way to like personally reach out and grab that stuff, they might feel like they're perhaps at the mercy of a seller, of a vendor, which they are. Everyone is. But I guess I think it can feel a little helpless sometimes, especially when you see some card prices just go up and up and up and up and up and up and up. That's no single person's fault, but like, what would you guys possibly be able to give people a bit of behind the scenes of like how? Because I know recently there's been a lot of complaints of like, oh yeah, this person's ripping me off. It's because I know we've seen Solemn a few weeks ago kind of make a tweet about referencing kind of different case prices in different areas of the world, how different player bases approach buying their play sets or their individual cards, or whether they buy boxes, play sets, singles, like kind of all those different differences. Like how would things work on you guys' side? Like how long in advance do you guys have to actually order things? Like when it comes to promos, how does that actually work? Like for just to maybe explain it to like the new players who to them it's like just magic that goes on. Like maybe to like help give the other side of the argument. So when people complain about it, they maybe have a different angle at it.
So I think with the promos in general, if you didn't know, the online sellers don't get like the promos, like the thank you packs and all that stuff. So yeah, I feel like that would be one thing they might want to do is with the giving promos to the online stores. But then I guess that does bring an entire new thing where like most sellers will probably just open them up and then do all that. But I mean, in my opinion, with that, then it would at least lower the price for everyone else. I really didn't get the question 100%. What do you like in particular? What do you mean?
So I mean, in the sense, like, for example, for a lot of like I was mentioning, for like a lot of players, they feel like they're very much so like at the mercy of vendors. Oh, I can't buy this deck. The pre-order is super high. Oh, if I do buy, why does it take so much? Why is shipping so much? Then like, oh, a promo comes out. Why is the promo so much? If it's all secondhand, like why is it all cost so much? Like possibly give people like a bit of an angle, or like how shipping, maybe like the lifespan of product from you guys' side, like from when you order it when you order it from Bushiroad or the distributor to when it comes to you, and like how long in advance you guys have it. Because I know recently when Solomon was releasing his video about why he's shutting down Claret cards, he was referencing about having to order something 6 months in advance. So it's kind of like how maybe give people like a bit more insight into like your side, or kind of like behind the scenes of running a shop, or or distributing, and then being able to like give people the other side, so maybe they have something else to consider before ranting on Vanguardians.
Okay. Well, I mean, for me, when I order cases, I stick with just the same number every single time. I only order 5 cases per set. That's a number that I feel comfortable with. I don't want to. For me personally, I always want to focus on at least going past breaking even. And usually, yes, I do pre-sales. Of course, pre-sales is where most of the money comes from. But also, I let my viewers know. I let people know for my locals. Hey, if you guys want singles instead, yes, I'll save them for you. Of course, I'll do pre-orders, but I'll also like round down the price. Say, for instance, in total it would be like $48. I'll round it down to like 45, maybe even $40. As for singles, I do the same thing as well. Of course, whenever people want to buy singles off me, I have commons and rares. I have a shed house, literally just full of commons and rares, organized by clans. And people just ask me, "Oh, I want this deck." All time, all right, just send me a full list, or best yet, start ordering cards on TCG Player, screenshot it, send me pictures, because then the pictures will show which card they want, how many quantities, and I can just look it up that easier. But usually, of course, I get maybe like 16, 17 people a day coming to my house, and my neighbors and my parents think I'm doing drugs, because why are so many people coming to my house every day? I'm just like, I'm making a living.
What do you mean? What's the problem? I got what they need,
You gotta put bread on the table, man.
Of course. So no matter what, I always have people just messaging me constantly saying, "Hey, I need this deck, I need these cards," and almost all the time I should have them. But if not, I always make deals with everyone else to see if I can get that card for them. Now, if I would want to purchase, I mean, if I was going to purchase more boxes or cases of sets that just came out, for example, I just bought out 2 stores for their BT11s because they just wanted to get rid of them. I bought them out at $30 a box. I can probably flip them for at least $45 on TCG Player or $40 local. But as for everything else for a reseller, yes, it does. It depends on the card game where you can make the most amount of profits. For example, me, I don't just make a living off selling Cardfight Vanguard. I do Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic the Gathering. Magic the Gathering, I'm not gonna lie, is my biggest income. But for Cardfight Vanguard, that's the number one game that I have shelves of just inventory of. As for stores, I feel like they should possibly start doing promotions for pre-sales. For example, let's say if you buy these many boxes, let's say you buy 10 boxes or 10 cases, we'll give you a free case in stuff like, or like one of those punch hole things. But that's just my opinion.
I'd have to. So with the work that we like, I'd say everybody does here. There's awfully put in a lot of time and effort. So for me, I don't have a store like Richard does, and so I have to try. So for me, I work for myself. I'm the only one here, and so I drive to pick up my cases. I have to unsort all those cases by myself most of the time because of the pandemic. I don't want to be near anybody. And then on top of that, like just like getting those sales done by myself too is a lot of work. I feel like it really doesn't matter how the. It's really, I'm gonna be really tough on them. It's just people are innately like selfish. I'm just gonna say that they just want what they want now, and it doesn't matter how you get it or how it's done. I want it. That's why they argue price. I've had people argue price all the time, and it's fine. You can argue with me all the time, but I always go based off TCG Player, no matter what, TCG low. I mean, that's fair. If it doesn't look fair, I guess you don't need it. You know, I mean, if it's like, for example, if it's somebody I've seen several times, like they buy it consistently, like a loyalty. I'm like, okay, I can round up for you, man. I can definitely do it. And I've had people do that for me too. And I'm sure everybody here has like a group of people that they just always get messages from, like, hey, do you have this? Do you have this? Can you help me out? Can you hook me up? And we're happy to oblige, you know. But I feel like they have to it's a give and take. You kind of have to continually do it. I'd have to say, like, on the other side of the spectrum, they only see what they perceive what they see. Like, oh, it's $115 for a playset. That's too expensive. But I'm like, but you're ordering it 2 months in advance. Let's take, for example, like BT10, for example. Everybody was selling Shadow Paladin playsets. I'd have to say like roughly 200 just to be fair. And then I've seen sales go as higher than that, almost like way too high. And then people are like, and we always have those like last 2 weeks where people are just like running to pick up playsets. But I feel like everybody here can do as much as we can. We can educate them. We can do as much as we can. But the way I see it, it's left up to them whether or not they want a good deal. So, for example, like if they want the pre-sale, just buy it. I mean, don't think about it, just buy it. Maybe in the end, maybe later, the prices will shoot up, and that would be good. If prices shoot down, that'd be bad. I mean, that's just how it is, and we won't know until JP actually releases it. Because I feel like a lot of what are we determined by is what JP meta is. That's why I think BT11 crashed. BT10 was just basically Reckless Rampage with Luart in it. That's it. So that's what I'd have to say on my side of being a seller, because the amount of time and work we put in they can't really fathom, because they're just here to buy something. They don't see all the work behind it all. And I'm sure like they think, oh, you're just opening packs or you're just ordering cards. No, we have to like open them. We have to transport, ship them individually. We have to make sure all our like do checks, get labels, and all those like extra stuff that costs money too and time. And I'm sure like for me, I have a main job. This is a side job, but I kind of treat it like another job. and everybody doesn't have that time to like do all that. So really, like I said before, I think one of your questions before, as of what do vendors do, I'd like to say that our job is also not only to sell, but to also educate them in terms of this is what you should buy. I'm not telling, and I'll give you my reason. You can listen to it, and if you don't want to, that's fine. You're lost. I don't have to feel hurt by that. Because we, like at my the storefront that I'm at, we tell people all the time, like, hey, you really should pick this up. We're not saying it because we want money. We're saying it because this is something you want to look into. Now, at that point, I do this give and take. Now the ball's in the buyer's court. Do you want to buy it? If they don't, okay, well, good luck. Good luck getting that card like 2 months later when it's like, for example, let's go with Wonderazel, $5 dirt cheap card, $25 right now. So that's just my take, but yeah.
No, I don't know. I know about you guys. I think that's pretty fair, quite insightful. Because like to people, I think a lot of people on, for example, Vanguardians or other like Facebook groups, some people just seem to talk like they think you pay $10 to Bushiroad, you get bundled like 100 playsets, and you're just saying going, lol, I want £200 I want $250 for this one. Whereas obviously that's not how that works. Like I think to my understanding, you get an average of like 1.2 roughly playsets of each clan out of a case, something in that region, like right around.
Yeah.
Like depending on drop. So it's like when people go, oh, but they're saying for $250, I'm like, yeah, but they got one of these out of a box that cost them like, well, I don't know how much it is in the US, but like in Europe you could be looking upwards of like $1,000, and you're going like, bro, like they have to make it, you got to make it back somehow, especially in like you were saying in VBT 10 for example. Like yeah, it's Luard and like what's that, like Raging Tactics. Ooh, great set. It's like the one shop you can go to like I've actually had a running joke with my friends where we made like a board out of every single like shop in our local area. We want to see which one, every shop without fail, even if they have no other Vanguard products, has 3 boxes minimum of Destructive Roar just sitting there because nobody wants it. And they were like, yo bro, what if we tag Luard on it though? But then people don't realize that, yeah, but they've seen these people not being able to sell those decks, so they have to try and make up the price of that case with that other playset. So it's not actually that unreasonable, especially when your alternative is to either wait for singles or go buy those boxes for $50 to $60 each. And it's like, okay, cool, but you're not guaranteed anything. You could be looking at buying 20 boxes and still not end up with your playset, at which point you've spent, it's not put off that grand, but you've not ended up with it. Like, I know myself, when I got into Gears, and he was like, oh yeah, I need to pick up my last copy of like Chrono Tooth Dagar. I think I ended up buying like 13 boxes of Astral Force, and I still didn't pull it. And that thing's like a double rare. It's not even a VR.
Bro, I'm so sorry. Just message us. We'll help you out.
No, bro, this was like I managed to sort it. But it's like that kind of stuff. So when people are just kind of going like, oh well, I don't have to buy singles. I'm sat there like like a wounded soldier. Like bro, trust me. You don't want to do that. Just buy your singles, bro. Come on. Don't take it from a man who's done this. Just buy the singles. Just do it. Because I know, I think it is quite interesting to see like the other, like kind of like behind the curtains, because it's like you were saying, like it's people don't seem to understand. You have your shipping you have to do, you have to package it up, you have to unbox it. Like we've seen 50 cards for example, because obviously I think he's like kind of the main like unboxing streamer, as it were. So like when he streams, he do like a 4, 5, 6 hour stream just opening box after box after box after box. It's opening all of those, then sorting them, then packaging them, then shipping them, while still trying to sell things. It's kind of like it's time that people don't seem to basically understand that time is money, and that thing takes a hell of a lot of time, and you got to make it back somehow, because just the act of doing it doesn't make you the money. You actually have to ship it later, and you have to sell it, and it's just like an unbelievable amount of work. Obviously, not to mention if you have it at a shop front, or so for example, you're like, well, and you have beyond selling singles, you still have your you're like custom accessory business, where you're trying to sell dice and playmats. Or maybe you're like Richard, and you have your brick and mortar store. Like it's all these different like hustles that don't, like side hustles or main hustles, kind of like different aspects to the business that don't inherently make money unless you can ship product.
Exactly.
I was gonna say, is Richard still here? Because I think he's frozen on my screen.
I'm here. Just my internet's crapping out.
Okay. No worries. No, I just want to say like the image was like stuck. I was like, wait, I just wanted to check it was still here. Cool. But like, what about the rest of you guys? Like, how do you guys feel about that? Because like given like a bit, because like how long in advance do you guys actually have to buy product if you do choose to pre-order some? Like, how long in advance is that actually like a thing?
I'd say 2-3 months, give or take.
2-3.
For me, at least. For me, my side, yeah.
Is that before US release or before Western release or before JP release?
I'd say US release, but
Yeah.
sorry, I didn't mean to step on anybody.
No.
Oh, so I'd have to say a good 2-3 months in advance. So oh, Richard, no.
Richard, bro.
But yeah, about 2 months, give or take. Even after once the JP releases, there's nothing in queue right now for it, and I let my distributor know, like, hey, just put me down for him, and then slowly we'll slide into it. But it's more so based on the EN released, I'd have to say. But I still like let my distributor know, because it's a lot of especially being a singles, just a one-man army, you kind of have to like be ahead of the game on a lot of things. And then I'd have to say for this year especially, and I don't know if guys noticed this, like they've just been churning out box after box after box after box, and I'm like, holy crap, I have to be ready to pay all of that in succession. So that's another thing I'd have to say, like, people don't realize is, like, Bushi's just, like, case after case after case after case. Sometimes, I'll be honest, I'd have to say I cut close. There are times I cut close just because I have other things I need to prioritize over this. But I managed to pull through, obviously, just because it has to happen. But yeah, that's just how it is.
Yeah, going off Dominic, it is about 2 to 3 months. And the thing that people don't realize is when we place in an order through Bushi or through a distributor, it's a commitment. We can't take those back. Once we place in the order, we're stuck with that order. We have to pay for it in the end. And it's the same with card slaves too. I sell more card slaves than I do singles, but it's the same with card slaves. It's about 2 to 3 months in advance as well. And when you do order, it's in large quantities.
Yeah, because like I think people are like struggling to understand. Oh, there you go. You're back. There you go. Welcome back.
Yeah,
Welcome back. We're good.
My laptop.
No, it happens. It happens. It's all good. Because I was just like you were saying earlier, because like once you commit to it, it's the kind of thing where like, hey, if the first card looks kind of cool, but then the rest of the set looks like really freaking bad, like too bad you've already committed. Like I think the average in the US is, I think the average I read somewhere was like about like $700 to $800 a case. I think somewhere in that region. Obviously, not particulars, but like kind of like rough idea to give you like a general idea. Like if you think if your locals does, or no locals, like you say your retailer does like 5, so you do 5 or 6. You're looking, you're easily looking at kind of like $45,000 per set, and if you have to do 3 months in advance, you could potentially be looking to be like $20,000 deep before you even make a cent back. Like,
exactly.
Before the first one even comes out, it's kind of like, especially when you look at something like this year. How many releases have we had this year? Like 17 or something? Because we've had like a VBT every month, plus like some extra boosters, plus festival, plus premium. Like we're probably looking at like, I'd imagine probably like 17, 18 sets this year. I think somewhere in that region, and it's like
and
no, it's just okay.
Sorry. And they've doubled up on a lot of them, like with the special sets with Majesty Lord Blaster. It was released at the same time as BT09. That's more onto the plate that we have to buy. I mean, that's basically it. I mean, like I said, they're pushing a lot out for us, and for guys like us, it's like what Rico said, you got to put money on the table sometimes. So.
I was gonna say, has there ever been like, because I don't know how it is, like, do you find like shops ever talk to each other about like the way they price things, or is it always just kind of like see what the trend is on Card Market or on the JP sites and go off that?
Well, for me, I just use TCG Player Low. I don't really talk to any other stores. Just whatever's on TCG Player Low, that's what I typically sell for.
Because no one
is that for. I'm sorry.
No. Okay.
Is that for current prices, or like prices like that are about like for a set that released, for example, set 12?
which I think
for current prices for me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was just because like I know when I go around, because I'm not a big seller, like, I just sell like my spares. Like when I end up, that's pretty much what I tend to do. I'm like go for whatever's being sold for, go like a couple cents less. Or like if it's mostly like mainland Europe, I might put it a bit higher because I know that like people in the UK, it'll be cheaper for them because of shipping prices. So at that point, that kind of balances out. But it depends on the card and who else is selling. But I guess that at the same time, I don't have the volume of cards where I have to go one by one and memorize what's where and for how much. Like I sell my like individual like 5-6 cards after a split. I'm like, okay, I've got these like extra rares and commons. I'm just gonna put them up for whatever, and like it chips when it chips. Like I don't, But like I was gonna say, I was just curious because like I know I was talking about it. I know I keep bringing him up, but because I've had Solomon over my stream once. We were just had like a little discussion of sorts. And we had a kind of interesting discussion about like what you'd refer to as like a collector mindset. Where the argument I was making is that a lot of people, like our age, for example, you were saying, Eureka, that in your case, a lot of people, you said your kind of biggest source is MTG. So that's one of the games I think in the same category as Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh, where people our age group, our generation, have seen these like old weird cards selling for like 100 grand, 150 grand, 300 grand, $3,000 cards, like and it's almost got us into the mindset of like, okay, we have to keep our cards in good condition. If a card's rare, we have to like save it, or like perhaps because we were talking about kind of like premium versus standard, and we saw a lot of products from premium like in SEA and kind of further Asia like just selling for dirt cheap because no one plays it. Whereas we were wondering what you guys would take would be, because we were talking about how potentially in the West, because we saw those different games and saw their old cards skyrocket, do you think potentially there's a bit more of a market for premium in the West, or older cards, as well, like vintage cards, as it were, in the West, because of those kinds of things that will potentially help drive prices up? Because a lot of people are sad, they're going like, dude, I remember when I saw that Charizard go through the roof, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my SP Blaster Blade, I'm going to put it in a nice little sleeve, I'm going to get that bad boy graded, and I'm going to sit on it. Like, do you think that potentially helps, in a sense, to shift older stock? Because people have had that kind of mindset of, like, having seen these, like, cards they played with as kids become collector items. So, in a sense, it maybe helps games like Vanguard ship older product a bit more than, maybe other games. Because other than for collector value, I wouldn't really see somebody in 2020 or 2021 going, you know what I need? Descent of the King of Knights boxes. That's what I need. Meta decks, bro. Meta decks, that's what I need. I don't see that happening necessarily.
Okay. First of all, 50 cards actually bought one of my Blaster Blades, which I regret so much. I hate myself so much. So I had a Blaster Blade on PC Player for $50. I completely forgot that was there, and 50 cards bought it. Right, so before I start, there is a collector's market in Cardfight Vanguard for premium format. But before you start buying out old cards, SP Blaster Blades or SP King Knights Alfreds, make sure that you have a good amount of income coming in before you start thinking of investing into old cards. As for example, BTO1, the SPs, a bunch of them were fairly priced or fairly cheap price until we received Vanguard Zero. Me personally, I think Vanguard Zero brought in new players and also brought in the intent of every player, hey, this card looks cool on the mobile game. Maybe let's get the actual card. And the King Knights Alfred spiked up to $100 card. Keep in mind, they actually did sell. I sold 4 of my King Knights Alfreds for 100 each. Dragon Over went up. Battle Riser, for some reason, is $1,000.
Apparently, I got $4,000.
Rico, why must you hurt me so? Why must you hurt me like that?
There are definitely like decent prices. For example, Login Make Magus, the SP kill trigger for OTTs, is like going for like $13 to $15, which I kind of recommend to buy out if you guys want to flip it later on in the future. But a lot of these cards at the moment, people are not grading them, which I think they should. Me personally, I just sent over an order of cards to get graded for BTO1 cards, SP cards. But not only high rated cards have value, also rare grade 2s. For example, the rare grade 2 Geograph Giant from BTO2, that goes like $2. there's definitely a collector's market for Cardfight Vanguard. It's just you had to sit on them for a while in order for them to gain value. Uh, of course, I think the biggest moment where a lot of people took advantage of buying out collector cards was during when Bushiroad announced that we're gonna rotate the formats, we're gonna have standard format. So a lot of people during that time uploaded all their premium format. They all sold their BTL1 cards to BT 14, no, BT G14. So at that time, a lot of people just sold all the collections. And now, if you're still sitting on them, for example, like I said, BTL1 cards, a lot of them are just gaining value. At the moment, for standard format, I think there is a collector's market, but for gift markers. There are iconic characters like Kai, Leon. Me personally, I think those gift markers will definitely go up in the market. Will they be the most sought after card? No, they won't. But you will find that little Timmy, that one Timmy out there who will buy it for $200 or $300. It's just the waiting game. And like I said, if you don't have the recurring income coming in, highly recommend do not invest into collector cards for Cardfight Vanguard.
No, for sure. Because I think the interesting part is, like, when we were looking at it, like, do you think potentially this collector's market and the design to like start buying out all the product, or maybe if you're an old player and you go, if you do obviously believe that Zero is bringing the price of old cards up, if you're sad at being like, okay, so I've got some Legion product, Zero ain't there yet, so I'm a pre-buy now, so when it does get to it, I'm ahead of the curve, right? Do you think that potentially makes it like, and I'll lead on to an example other than Legion, because that's kind of what brought the question on. When it came up in discussions, because like as you go on, you realize the kind of people starting to get ahead of the curve more and more, but then you're going to get to the point where if somebody just honestly wants to play the format, it's all been bought out by collectors. So for example, I was recently trying to build Zodiac Time Beast Gear Chronicle for premium. I didn't find a lot of the core cards were in the trial deck, G trial deck 09 True Zodiac Time Beasts. I'll be damned if I found a single one of those. Like, they are sold out everywhere. I think I found a single trial deck up, and it was up for about $200. And I was like, nah, B. I'm not spending this on this. Like, not a chance. Yeah. But like, sorry, don't you want to say something?
No, I was just agreeing with you. Like, a lot of old cards are just, especially sealed product, they gain value, but they need somebody to buy it to actually make money off of it. So I think they're okay with selling it for like $200, I guess. I wouldn't be in the right mind by that. But I can't really say much for sure for collector's market. I just feel as though the collector's market is like niche. And I didn't actually, Rico, like I like what you mentioned with Zero, it brought a lot of like new players. But I definitely think like I said, it's just for a niche group of people. Like, for example, SP Blaster Dark or SP Phantom Blast, or like the original art. Those were really hard to find way back. And they're still holding value, which you're only going to find people who really want that, who have just either played Zero, I guess, or played the game when it first started. I, for one, the only card I'd say I held on to BT06, Dragonic Vermilion SPs, and I kept those. Like that's my thing. But that, like, I know everybody here has like that one card or a couple clans, I guess, that we just want to keep. But yeah, like I want to agree with Rico and say it's a very niche market to get into, but it's not like, I wouldn't say it's like something to like completely like invest in, like kind of like Pokemon. Yeah, that's something. Those Charizards, man, those are expensive.
But yeah, because I guess the thing is, like, it's not even so much like the collectors themselves, but I guess it's even if the collectors are a very, very small minority, I think in a sense, because they've got that mindset, because they've seen those old, they've seen Black Lotus go for however many thousands, like they've seen those old cards go, they'd be willing to shell out more than a card is worth now, in hopes of future, in hopes of future stonks, as it were. So it's like it's the kind of thing like, how does, even though they're a very small minority, they've got kind of the buying power to price people who just honestly want to play the game out of the game. Because if if someone's selling a blaster blade, and for like $1, and you're like, oh, I want to buy it, but it's somebody comes around and goes, yeah, bro, but I think it's going to go up in price. I'll pay $40 for it. Obviously, not something that extreme, right? But I guess the point of if people are convinced that this is crypto, bro, this is only going up. This is going to go up. This is going to go up 2,000% in 24 minutes. Like it's going to blow up, bro. Like if that's your mindset, like you'd be willing to pick up. You'd be able to buy out a lot of stuff. Like if a card's up for like 10 cents, right? You'll buy like 1,000 of it because the next one up is like $2, and you're like, okay, cool, whatever. But then you're sitting on it hoping to sell it for $2, but you've got kind of like the new player being like, oh, yeah, I'm not spending $2 on a common like that. That's not the kind of life I want to live. Like, like how? I guess what do you guys think about like the impact of those collectors on the wider player base by being able to stage out all these sort of like buyouts? Although I know, obviously, Rick, I know you were talking about buying cards out early. Like, what do you think the impact of that is on like either newer players or returning players? Say you're a Zero fan and you want to buy that favorite card of yours, but it was just bought out yesterday by some dude. Like, what would be the like? Not that it's a bad thing, of course, but it's a kind of what do you think potentially Bushiroad could do to provide support for all the formats to enable to have like a low enough entry price or entry cost for new players or returning players, while at the same time still leaving some value for the people who want the collector side of things. If that makes sense, I'm hoping that was worded okay. I know it's a little.
No, it's perfectly fine. Well, I mean, I definitely have to say about it. It's definitely there's both sides. So the one important thing that got me into buying and reselling for Cardfight Vanguard is that Bushiroad barely does any reprints. That's great for resellers, but that's terrible for new players. Just for the fact that, for example, Yu-Gi-Oh, they have reprints of Monster Reborn in like every set. So the price for Monster Reborn is always going to be cheap. But for Cardfight Vanguard, since it's not getting more reprints, their value is only going to keep going up. So me, I'm always advocating for Bushiroad to do Revival Collection every year for premium format. But unfortunately, it's not going to happen. So that's why that's the main reason why I love Cardfight Vanguard. Well, making money out of Cardfight Vanguard is because there's barely any reprints. It's great for resellers. I think Bushiroad should start reprints for standard format. They're about to give us clan selection, which is great. It's amazing. I just wish Bushiroad would do more reprints for newer players and old current players.
I feel like they've gotten better at the reprints, at least compared to last year, because again, with BT11 they have Bergios, which that card was crazy expensive. The BT10 they had Bronwyn. They're throwing more reprints in these sets. Again, we had Festival Collection. We're now getting Clan Selection. I feel like definitely last year was a lot worse with all the reprints, but I feel like they're definitely getting better with it. Yeah.
What about yourself, Richard? Have you got a take on it?
I agree. That's kind of why I started picking Vanguard to start off with for selling. Because when you would buy a card, it would hold value that you could resell for more. You weren't, given a reprint a couple months and then, oh no, there goes all the value.
I guess the nice thing is
I agree with the reprint sets. I like it when they reprint the card as like not a foil at all, so that your original foil still has value, and people always want foils in their deck, that type of stuff.
That's literally exactly what I was about to say. I was like, because I guess the upside was when they do reprints, it's like Festival Collection. The foiling's different, so there's still a way of, at a glance, without being like an expert on card codes, like being able to recognize that, like, oh yeah, okay, cool. Like this isn't the original. The original still like looks different, looks nice. So like when somebody plays a PG against me and their PG is like got the double rare foiling, I'm just like, oh, you're one of the OGs. Okay, I like that. I respect that. I respect the hustle there. Whereas somebody's gonna pull triple rare foiling. It looks nice, but Festival Collection. Okay then. Okay, I see what it is. But like, how about yourself, Will? Like, how do you find yourself kind of interacting with that side of the game?
Yeah, I think we get spoiled about how low the overall value is for Cardfight Vanguard. Each time we see common go for $2, we're just like, oh, gasp, $2 for a common. But when you look at the overall value, the overall cost of collecting a few cards or even building a deck, it's still, in my opinion, a lot lower than your mainstream games like Magic, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh. So I don't think when comics go to $2 or $4, it's necessarily inaccessible. It might be for some people, right? But overall, a couple bucks for a few cards really isn't that bad. And the overall for a deck is still pretty low compared to other card games.
Like, I think as well, because as you were just kind of saying, like, I think potentially one of the interesting parts for Vanguard compared to games like, for example, Yu-Gi-Oh, is the clan system. Because if a single card is broken, that single card only goes for that one clan. Not every player ever has to walk around. For example, imagine a world of Yu-Gi-Oh where there is only one monster reborn in one set. Cool, but every player has to share that one set. But that set isn't going to get printed infinitely. Whereas in Vanguard, it's like, oh man, Twin Order broken, insane. Fucking plus 60k to Vanguard for sneezing? Yo, bro, in nutty. It's like, cool, but unless you're playing DP, you don't care about it. Like, you...
Right.
Like, you the Nova Grappler main... Oh, sorry, like, I guess you like the Neonectar main, like, really doesn't give a shit. Like, cool, DP has a cool card, I don't care. Like, you almost, like, in a sense, you're, like, cutting out a market segment for each card to go, like, hey, this isn't going to have, like, too much crossover, so in a sense, like, you're going to have your diehard fans are always going to want it. There's going to be constant demand, but there's not going to be so much... there's not going to be such a, kind of, like, specific lack of supply, because it only goes around the dedicated players. It doesn't go around between everybody in a way that, like, Monster Reborn would in Yu-Gi-Oh! And, like, I guess on top of that, it also lets people, like, have... I think a lot of people don't seem to realize when they complain about card prices. I think that's... I personally tend to find that's mostly the people who are like, yes, I want the new cards every set. It's like, yeah, bro, you can complain about Lambros being $10 each and, like, Thavas being $5, but, like, if you're playing Maelstrom, and if you already have a Maelstrom deck, the bike picking up every card of support is, like, total $2, maybe? Like, how much are the cards? Like, 5 cents? Like, cool. How many cards are, like, 10, 15, maybe? Cool, but you're paying 20 cents, like, per playset. Like, what do you care? Like, it's like, yeah, you can say, oh, yeah, bro, but Tavas broken, though. I was like, yeah, but it's not for your deck. What you're saying is, I want a brand new deck for the price of 10 commons, and that's just not going to happen, ever. Like, if you have a legacy deck, I think Bushy's actually done a pretty good job in providing either support for older decks. For them, again, I know this doesn't apply every time. This applies I find most of the time. Like in cases like Maelstrom, where the support is entirely commons and rares. Like, entirely. Or like, maybe or at least provide like an alternate way of playing the deck. Like, for example, if you play Gear Chronicle, I think you'll find that maybe, like, Chronojet is like its own deck. Yeah, true. Chronofang is its own deck. Yeah, true. Mystery Fire is its own deck. Yeah, true. But if you take the commons and rares, they, like, slide right into premium. Like, one of the most broken cards I've ever seen for Gears in Standard is a common. It is a common from Astral Force. It's bind a card from your hand. Your opponent has to guard with 2 or more for the rest of the turn. Bro, if you're playing Time Leap against it, they're dying. They're dying that turn. They are not surviving. It's over. It's over. It's game. Like, it's all these little things where I'm like, people are complaining about, like, oh, but new support costs so much. And it's like, well, Bushiroad has done a good enough job of giving you very affordable deck options, but you just have to think a bit outside the box. Like, if you don't, that's not the developer's fault. That's you. Like, I find all the time, like, the players who complain about different things, like, players complaining about prices for new sets, are kind of missing the point on that everything you want is at your fingertips. You're just not looking for it. You're going, oh, does that card have triple rare foiling? No, fucking trash then. Like, bro, read the cards you open. They're so good. Some of those cards are, like, insane. But, like, well, I was gonna say, because I don't want to be, like, keeping you guys all kind of up all day, because I know you guys kind of have a bunch of things to attend to. But, like, I was gonna say, like, any sort of, like, what would be guys your closing thoughts about this? Like, how would you guys see? I guess look into the future now, because we've gone a lot of retrospective, kind of ended with kind of collectors things. Like, I guess, like, what would be kind of, I guess, final thoughts on, like, towards what the future of Vanguard, like, selling and vending is? If you had anything, so if you could see, like, where it was going, like, where would you think it goes, and where would you like to see it go in the coming, say, 5 to 10 years, especially with kind of Overdress around the corner?
I'd say try to pick up a bunch of iconic cards, for example, Blaster Blade, Amon, Maelstrom, Vermilion. Try to pick them up while you still can for a cheap price, the highest rarity. Most likely they should go up because again they're iconic characters for that clan. You did bring up a good point about Legion format because Legion format is coming out in Vanguard 0, so maybe possibly you should start doing some buyouts for Legion format cards. But as for later on in the future, I do see Cardfight Vanguard from BT01 to at least BT9. I see a bunch of those cards do going up in market.
How about?
Oh.
No, I was about to say how about yourself. I was just about to point to you and Will.
So with what you said with clans, with Bushiroad having clans, it's great. I think like you have having certain cards.
Oh. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, there we go.
We keep doing this to us, man.
No worries, man. No worries. It's nice.
Doesn't like me. So basically, I'd have to say like it's great that they, you don't have to care too much if it's not your clan, but also it falls under the idea like those people who are favorited clans, the ones that Bushiroad only sees the most. For example, Kagero, Kagero Royal Paladin, Aqua Force, Shadow Paladin. Those were the only ones I'd say in the beginning that they only focused on. I mean, if you look at Shadow Paladin, they have like 3 or 4 different types of builds you can go off. But this year, I feel like they did really well, and also a smart move by them. I know everybody has at least played G Era before. At least I've seen a few of you. Will, I think I've seen you at an event one time. I didn't want to talk to you. You're too struck. But basically, the way they added G format to this year, like for example, Gridora, Drag Ruler, Drag Driver, Gaia, all the like whether they were good or bad, it was just kind of like a great way of kind of evening out for everybody. I mean, when I heard Lambros was coming back, I was like, holy crap, that card! I remember, and just remembering like I'd have to say PTSD because that was a big deck with Tidal Assault. I don't know if you remember that, but I'd have to say going into the future, Bushiroad is always kind of, from what I noticed, they just kind of focus on the main clans, main units for sure. And like you said, Overdress is around the corner, so it's uncharted territory. But I'd have to say, as a business, as an organization, they do follow a set model, I guess you could say. They just focus on what's current, like the main clans, for example, what Rico was mentioning, like Aqua Force, Royal Paladin, all those main clans, and then slowly later they'll do reprints towards the latter half. Like I remember GBT like 11 through 13, like with all those like ZRs, there were cards that were being reprinted before. GR Morfessa was reprinted twice, and that was helpful for new players, I'd have to say, to get into the game. I can't really say for sure, just because, like I said, it's uncharted territory. Just because Overdress is unknown mechanic. But we'll see. I mean, I'd say just save money if you can, and just kind of see where things go from there.
How about the rest of you guys? Like, where do you guys see this going?
Well, I agree with both of them. I think right now buying the OG cards and really saving your money, because again, we really don't know what the heck's going to go on with Overdress. So really, if anything, for most people, I would say just wait. And again, if you're trying to make a little bit of money, I feel like the OG cards probably is the best option right now. Again, I feel like I could really answer the question better when Overdress comes out. We get some more information and all of that, because right now nobody knows what the hell is about to happen. So, yeah.
So, did you guys see the typo they had the other day, where Kitidani was tweeting about like, we're happy to announce kind of like the end of Vanguard if, but there were a few errors with Google Translate where it didn't translate the word if, so it looked like it was announcing the end of Vanguard. And people had like a mini heart attack, and people were like, what do you mean?
Yes, get me out of here.
And then it's like Vanguard if, Vanguard if. It's like, oh, thank God. It's like every person who bought Playsets is now like having a heart attack. Like, oh god, no, not like this, not like this. But how about yourself, Richard and Richard and Will? Like, how do you guys take? Like, what do you guys see this as going in the next like 5 to 10 years?
I still see it being strong. Definitely agree with what everyone said about buying older cards from the first go around of Vanguard. Trying to invest in those. I don't know if investing in the current standard cards is the proper way to go. Like if you're trying to buy this version of Blaster Dark, I'd stick with the original ones.
No, for sure. I think it's just almost like future-proofing yourself, or like people are always gonna like it, but you kind of realistically only go up, because then even if the game ever does meet an unfortunate end, like then even in a sense, even though it's bad and that the game would be over, the alternative is but all of a sudden it's even more of a collector's item now. So it's almost like you get to keep it for as long as you want. If the game stays for long, it becomes collector's. If the game crashes, it stays collector's. It's like it's like the safest investment in a sense. Like either way, it's going to end up becoming a collector's item if you keep it in good shape. Actually, weird questions. Like, do you guys feel potentially, because I know you were talking earlier that people weren't necessarily grading their cards? Do you think there's potentially needs to be some sort of plunge taken, in terms of, you know, if grading a card's going to cost you like $50, but the card's now only worth 15, the people don't necessarily want to spend the $50 to grade a card. Is going to come back potentially as like a, you know, PSA 6. And it's like, oh crap, if I do ever want to sell this, shit, like it's just not happening. Like, is that not potentially a concern for people who want to look at the vintage side of things?
Yeah, of course. That's always going to be a risk. That's why I always say, if you're gonna start investing into Vanguard collection, old collector cards, and you want to get them graded, you know, just make sure you have the best best reoccurring income, so you don't go minus and you're like, oh my god, I just lost $100. Now I need to get rid of it. Collector cards, it's mainly just a waiting game for Cardfight Vanguard. Like I said, eventually you'll get that one little Timmy who'll buy it. But for the biggest example, I think, I mean, instead of listening to me about collectors market for Cardfight Vanguard, you guys should probably watch Alpha Investments. Rudy, if you guys know anything about Magic the Gathering, I personally learned everything about reselling from Alpha Investments. I learned about breaking even, about making a profit, difference between taxes, state, all that stuff. I learned the difference between holding and not holding. Just for grading cards, like I said, it's always going to be risky. But if you have the best income, if you have great recurring income, then I think you should jump into it. If you go minus, it happens, but you can definitely go plus.
No, for sure. But how about yourself? Like, where would you see it? Where do you see it? Kind of things progressing as somebody who has kind of the most, I guess, unique, like, you know, market in all this. Because I obviously the only person here kind of selling, well, I suppose the primary person is selling kind of like custom apparel, like beside other than like single cards. Like, where would you see things going, like on both sides of things, like both in terms of, you know, Vanguard physical cards as well as other accessories to go with the game? Like, where would you see that potentially going in the future? Do you see yourself potentially going more into custom things? Do you see yourself potentially collaborating more with Bushiroad on, you know, more Bushiroad items? Like, where do you see things going?
Well, in terms of singles, similar sentiment as the rest. You know, look ahead, pick up stuff you think you might want to play in the future. It's cheap now. So it's not really much of a risk now, and if nothing else, it's just fun, right? But if you wait until the support's confirmed, then it's already too late, you know, because within literally seconds, you know, it's going to be bought on TCG, eBay, you know, wherever. In terms of, you know, accessories, custom products, I'm very excited. I can't wait for Overdress to come out. I can't wait for the new mechanics. That just opens up more opportunities for me to come up with some new products and some new, you know, custom products for Vanguard. So I'm really looking forward to Overdress.
Yeah, I was gonna say as well. So I think at least on my side, that's kind of most things I wanted to kind of like discuss around past you guys, because obviously I think I was actually really interested in everybody's replies, because I think we've had like a decent like mix of kind of different takes, different angles on things. But I was just like, do you guys possibly have anything you wanna bring up, or like any questions you guys might wanna bring up for the discussion?
Yeah. Well, I just want to give a shout out to Sean from Winning Image for organizing this whole event. It wouldn't be possible without him. So big shout out to him.
No, 100%.
Huge shout out. But I also want to bring up one more question. This one is going towards Richard. Richard, how do you feel about other resellers going into your store and just buying and selling cards without you knowing, like behind your back? Like, what's your perspective on it? Because me personally, I go to 5 local stores, 2 of them the most. But I traveled to all 5 of them. At first, they all hated me. They wanted to ban me. But as soon as I started talking to them, now I'm their best friend, because if they have products that they can't sell locally, they'll just sell to me for, I guess, $5 above distributor price. So me, like, it's always spicy to hear from a store owner's perspective on resellers coming into the store.
Well, for me, I actually talked about this recently. We're doing this big Vanguard tournament in Orlando in a couple weeks, and one of the things we talked about when running is, what are we going to do if someone buys or sells in the event? You know, they always say, oh, no buying or selling in the event. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. It's going to happen regardless if I want it or not. You know what I mean?
Yes.
If I can sell my stuff for my prices, I make the profit. That's what I care about. You know, most of the people who are selling in my store buy from me anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
That's good. It's good.
I guess there's not much point like just causing a sense of animosity if there doesn't have to be one. If it's the kind of thing that's gonna happen, if not in the shop, then just outside. It's like may as well be here, not like don't feel like you're criminalizing them in a sense. It's like just let them do the thing. You know, they're gonna do it anyway. May as well do it in here. It's like, because then if they need something, they can just go buy a product real quick. But like,
No, I was gonna add on to Rico and Richard. I got banned for selling, obviously, and it left a really huge hole in my heart, because that was what I sold most of the time. But I kind of like how Rico stated, like, why are you getting upset with me? Because if you think about it, if Rico goes to the store, you don't have anything that they have. Rico's there. That means they'll come to that store. I appreciate what Richard is doing too, because like at the end of the day, like they're just there. However they do it, he's still making money no matter what. I mean, probably it isn't a lot, but I feel like a lot of store owners, I guess like they have this like thought process, like I don't want my money being taken away from me. But if you think about it, if you don't have anything, number one, one thing I've realized, like, I'd have to say one big example is ARG. I've been to several ARGs. I don't know if anybody's actually competed in them, but I've had people at the events tell me that they think their stock is crap. I'm gonna just put it out there. And they come to me and I'm like, okay, cool. Just here's my binder. I'm gonna sell to you, whatever. And that I think that's the fault on the store owner too. You do wanna have some people who are insightful on like for the game. You just don't want to hire anybody. And I think using, like, for example, I feel like the store used Rico as like a best tool to their advantage, whether to make sales and to kind of communicate that way. So yeah, I really feel like it doesn't matter, because like if you think about it, we're all I know you're from the UK, but we're Americans. We don't care. We'll do whatever we want. Capitalism. We'll make money whenever we can. Whether you see it or you don't. So that's just me.
Of course. I mean, me personally, I feel like TCG stores should work with resellers. I mean, let's all be honest. I mean, Richard, of course, no disrespect to you, but owning a local TCG store is one of the top failing businesses out there, because the rent or the taxes are just way too high, especially here in New Jersey. 50 cards. We both looked at the prices. The prices to rent out a store in New Jersey is insane. It's like 15 or 1,600 a month, which is crazy. So I understand why store owners get upset when other people are making money making money in their store, because they're paying that much rent, they're paying that much taxes. But in the end, yeah, they should work with resellers, because resellers can definitely bring them in more customers. Maybe they can make deals with the resellers getting rid of their products that they can't get rid of. Hopefully, hopefully every store does that, but unfortunately, there's always going to be that one store that as soon as they see you take money out of your wallet and put it in someone else's hand, they'd be like, "No, you're banned. Get out."
Because like I know in my locals, they'll have a hard time banning even one of the guys that works there. Whenever we do sneak peek events, just straight up, just like, "Hey, I'm looking to buy this stuff. Like, I'm gonna just PayPal you guys on the spot," and we're like, "Fucking sweet." So whenever we go, I'm just like, "Okay, cool. Like, what does he want from this set? This set, cool." So when I split like the sneak peek box with my friends, I'm taking this clan. Just get rid of it on the spot. Leave with a bit of extra cash for lunch. Like, just sell him his cards and make my lunch money.
Whoever thought they could make a living of selling cards from a children's card game?
Yeah. I had something that I kind of want to get everybody's insight, since it's from seller mindset. And for the sneaks, right? Sneaks. How do you feel about right now, since nobody's really policing the group pages? That's what I'm gonna probably like focus on the most. How do you feel about people everybody here selling the sets like almost a week in advance before set release, and under the guise of, oh, it's a sneak kit? I just want to kind of put that out there. How does everyone feel about that? Does it like mess with your sales, or just,
Personally, it does. I don't mind it at all, and I don't think it hurts my sales at all. I really haven't thought about it too much, to be honest. Yeah, I don't think it hurts me, so I really don't care about it too much.
Okay.
For me, it doesn't hurt me at all. It's irrelevant to me, but it does hurt my my local TC store owner. He's actually from my team. Unfortunately, he's terrible with advertising. So he pays me like $20 to advertise his sneaks. He's selling them for $125 if you pay in cash. But then he has to compete with other people with their sneaks online. For example, people are selling sneaks for like $100, which is crazy because I'm pretty sure distributors are selling sneaks for like what, $98, $95 each. But like, I mean, I don't want to say there should be policing on Facebook, but thing is, if this keeps happening, it's gonna start making people not want to buy sneaks from their local TC stores.
Okay.
So like I said, for me, for reseller, it doesn't really affect me, but for store owner, Richard, I'm sorry. I feel like everything we keep talking about reselling is just screwing you over because you're store owner. Like, I feel like an asshole now, but yeah, that's just my perspective.
Okay.
For me, it really doesn't bother me that much. Like, I understand like policing on TCG Play or maybe eBay or something like that, but Facebook, like, it's Facebook. It shouldn't be policed like that, to be honest, in my opinion.
Okay.
Even if it hurts me a little bit, it's just like the avenue of where it's coming from.
Oh, I was gonna say, how about yourself? Will, like, do you necessarily have an opinion on this?
I don't really sell a whole lot of products such as packs, boxes. So not a whole lot, but I do see a lot of stores selling their sneak kits to players rather than advertising to the community. So I'm not sure if that's something that you guys do or how you guys feel about that. I think, as long as people are cool with it, right? As long as the community is okay with it, then there's not too much of an issue. But I know that does take away the opportunity for others to go participate in a sneak event if they're just selling these kits, to random players or to random customers who want them.
No, for sure. Because like I know in my local shop, like, it's not even so much like a sneak peek event so much as it is like people dropping by, picking up packs. You grab your sneak peek kit, you see where you pull, and then it doesn't matter where you pull because you're going to buy up the rest of that box anywhere on the spot, and then you're off on your merry way.
Yeah.
Because like there's usually not enough people there physically, because obviously, admittedly, could be different during like normal times. Obviously now we're in a bit of a different situation. But like I think last time I went, there was like 4 people playing Vanguard. Most of the player base like Weichwartz, MTG, and like Yu-Gi-Oh, pretty much like the old Pokemon player. So it's like the 4 of us just sat around a table. We just bought the 2 boxes. We split the playmats 1 each, and we went on our merry way. Like,
oh, okay, nice.
We had to share the culture. It was the Venus Luquier playmats. It was for VBT09. And we're like, yeah, dude, you gotta share the culture on this one. You gotta make sure everybody leaves home with a little bit of Luquier, you know, like with a little bit of that spice. But like, I don't know, like, sorry, bit of a dry throat there. But like, I don't know, like, I suppose the thing with selling, at least, I suppose I got like the player base mentality on this. Is I guess it's sometimes difficult to, like, when you go on these, like, I suppose it would be like an okay closing thought as well. It's like when you go on Facebook and you go online and you go on all these, like, somewhat, even though if the business is legitimate, like, Facebook looks really dodgy a lot of the times. Like, if someone offers good prices, you're like, are they really good prices, or is this just like scamming me, like hardcore scamming me right now? Like, what would you say like people can do to help verify that the people they're looking to buy from are legitimate, compared to, you know, just some rando on Facebook saying, oh yeah, no, trust me, I definitely have that playset, don't worry about it?
Well, first of all, everyone needs to always pay with PayPal Business, because if you don't get your product, if you don't get what you ordered, you can get your money back. You can't do that if you do your friends and family, or at least it's much harder to. So that's one way to protect yourself. I mean, it doesn't cost but a few bucks.
Right? I think it's 3% plus. I think it's 3% plus 30 cents. I think, or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
It's a percentage, but actually pertaining to PayPal, PayPal does not cover any resale transactions unless you have a tax ID number. I don't know how a lot of people still don't know this. Well, technically, PayPal never made an announcement about it. But so basically, if you don't have a tax ID number, or if you don't have an actual PayPal business account, nowadays, if you file a claim, if you're the buyer, PayPal will no longer refurbish the money back to you. As soon as people find out that the seller isn't legit, they're going to drop the case automatically, and the seller just walks with the money.
Oh wow!
Because I remember reading about that a while back when they basically said they're going to stop covering, obviously resale, but also like TCG content isn't cards, trading cards as a whole, because of just the way they function. From what I recall, they're just like, we're just not going to.
They're going to stop covering any resale transaction whatsoever. But with that, I think the best thing you can do is go to people with the most credit. For example, like 50 cards, Solemn Vanguard, MCO 40. You know, of course, they're not going to screw you over because they have their own content. They're gonna do everything in their power to make sure that their product gets to the buyer. And if there's any unsatisfaction, they will do everything in their power to make sure that they're satisfied, so their credit can stay up.
Yeah, pretty much go for the social points. Like, okay, who do people like know? Because, you know, if you got 500 people vouching for the guy, then okay, it's probably cool.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about reference checks? Do you think reference checks are helpful?
So to touch on that, I was on the Vanguardians group 2015, and we used to have an admin Google Docs where they would just keep track of trade references, and that, I'd have to say, it mitigated a lot of the issues that we're having now. And to go off of what Echo was saying, despite having like a lot of following, for example, JC Martyr, anyone remember him? Or there was a couple of people on Vanguardians that just created a really great following of people, and just kind of, I guess you could say, tricked them into the idea like, oh yeah, he's trustworthy, let me keep going to him, and then ended up just kind of like taking everybody's money away. And I've had to deal with that. Well, I've seen that for a long time now. But I've seen it happen more now than ever, I'd have to say. The reason why the trade reference system went away is because managing over how many people we have on the group page, 25,000 people. That's a lot of people to track up. And then our admin and mods, like I know a couple of them, they have lives outside of this, out of Vanguardians, and I don't blame them. They just wanted to get up and just drop it all. That's fine. It was, I'd have to say it before, like, it was great because Vanguard was a very up and coming niche game that, like, you know, a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, they just kind of looked at it like, oh, what's this? But I definitely think references are great as well, but it can also be used if the person's not as credible as I would have to say. I do get a lot of people who ask me, hey, is this guy sends me a profile picture? And I'm like, yeah, sure. I know enough people in the group that I know who's legitimate and who isn't, or if I've done enough sales. But also one big thing is, like, if they have an anime profile pic, you probably shouldn't do any sales on them. Bottom line, man. I'm just saying. And then, but I also fall in that territory. So my process going into it, if the dude has a good sale, I look at the friend count. I see if they have mutuals. I talk to the mutuals, and if that doesn't work out, I just don't buy it. I mean, that's what we were saying before. Is it's up to the seller to kind of police themselves. I mean, no matter what. So, and then Rico's idea with picking up from 50 cards or golden, or even me, or with Gradelock. I mean, why go to some random who's gonna probably? I don't want to put like an animosity to up and coming sellers, but just if you don't feel comfortable with it or you feel something's off, don't do it. Just I always say take your sales somewhere else where you feel as though you might be spending a little, but you have the security to feel as though you won't be scammed at the end of it at all. You know.
No, for sure, 100%. I was gonna say as well, because I know in terms of like pure time for the panel, we're probably kind of running a little short now, because I know that most of them are meant to be like hour to an hour and a half. But I was gonna say, like, obviously, in terms of like closing thoughts, where would people like? Well, I suppose the best place to do would be like where would people be able to kind of find you? Because I know we did it at the start of the panel. But I suppose if we went same order as last time, like, where, just to kind of briefly remind people, like, what have you guys got going on? Where can people find you? Where can people purchase your product if they so wished? Obviously, we're going to have links to everything in the description of the panel. But obviously, on top of that, in terms of like just kind of giving people a quick reminder of where they can find your stuff. If we possibly start, I think we start with 50 cons. We just kind of go in the same order as we did last time.
Okay, so you guys can find me 50card.shop. I sell splits, cases, and a bunch of other stuff. I'm about to add sleeves and all of that. Also, you can find me on YouTube, 50 Cards, and also on Twitter, 50 Cards shop. And yeah.
How about yourself, Richard?
GoldenPhoenixGames.com. I have all my Vanguard singles and splits and boxes up there. For me personally, Richard Garcia on Facebook. You'll see me selling some crazy Vanguard thing occasionally. Just hit me up whenever. We can talk about whatever.
So for me, since I don't really have a storefront, I normally hit up KCTCG. They have their own Facebook page. And my boys who always take care of me, Turtle Card Shop. They'll also do playsets, singles. You can also find me if you're in this state of California. Frankensons is where I primarily help and sell at. I just do singles. But don't worry about coming to me. I'll probably come to you.
How about yourself, Will? Like, where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Etsy. So my domain is procyongaming.com. I sell primarily accessories for Vanguard, custom dice, play mats, card sleeves. Card sleeves and singles you can find on TCG Player. I go under Procyon Gaming, so pretty easy to find. But I am a partner for Cardfight Con, so do keep an eye out for the new play mats coming out. Super excited to show that off to you guys pretty soon here. So yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm Henrico from Team Gradelock. Of course, our YouTube channel, Team Gradelock. Facebook, also Team Gradelock. And my store is Above Them All Games if you guys want to purchase any singles. If you guys also want to sell your collections, because I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys are afraid of, God forbid, a rotation happening in standard format. If you're afraid of your cards getting rotated out, I will be more than happy to buy you out completely. Just message me on Facebook. But, yeah.
Also, guys, a quick reminder again, want to give a huge thank you to all our panelists for coming along. I know, obviously, it's taking time out of your day. No, you have to remember everyone here's here out of kind of love for the game and love for the community. So, huge thanks to everybody for taking the time to be here. Also, I'm probably going to flash on screen now the Cardfight Con playmats you guys could pick up. Also in the description of the video. So, once again, guys, wanted to say, third time, huge thanks to everybody. Thank you very, very much for watching. So, guys, stay safe, take care. We hope you enjoyed Cardfight Con, and make sure to give the other panels some love. Bye, guys.
Deuces.
See ya.